Hello, welcome to another episode of Coffee Chat with the CAO. I am Camille DuChaussee, the city's CAO, Chief Administrative Officer. I very much appreciate everyone joining me for these episodes. I love to think of them as short opportunities to learn a little bit about all of the great things that are going on in the city of Philadelphia and with their workforce. So joining me today is Carol DeFries. She is the Executive Director of the City College for Municipal Employment and Workforce Programming. As many of you may know, CCME, the City College for Municipal Employment, has been a seminal initiative for the Mayor's Office. It is our commitment to creating access to economic opportunity for all, and it is a passion project, I would say, for all of us. We were given, I think in April, an opportunity to stand it up, and by September of 2024, it was up and running. And so, Carol, I think this is a great opportunity for you to tell us a little bit more about you and about CCME.
Thank you, Camille. It's always an honor and a pleasure to share more widely about the City College for Municipal Employment and all of the things that we've initiated back last year in 2024 on a very short runway.
Very short window.
And also to talk about what the opportunities are that lie ahead. The great thing about the City College for Municipal Employment is that it comes right from the mayor, and it is what I would describe as her baby. She's very passionate about it. She's when she's come and talked to our classes and to our graduates, she gets very emotional about it because it is deeply tied to her own personal story of how someone in her upbringing and position might not have ever been given the chance to turn into the historic mayor that she is of the city of Philadelphia. And so she wanted to make a similar opportunity available to all Philadelphia residents. So when it's that deeply personal and passionate on her behalf, you can't help but be excited about trying to build a new initiative for the city of Philadelphia that's really never been done at the scale, I think, anywhere else in the nation.
I will say that, like I said, we received this charge, and you started in April of 2024, and the understanding was we were going to launch an application process, create a partnership with our beautiful partners, which, by the way, I failed to mention. We are in the Community College of Philadelphia in a beautiful setting with tremendous partners, and it is the home to many of our CCME programs. But I digress. When we initially received the expectation, right, that we'd be ready to launch and take applicants and students into our program in September of 2024, it felt very much like, okay, we've got to dig in, this is work, this is an initiative. It took on that less of an emotional and personal feel. But the day that we launched our very first class, the mayor came, surprisingly. We did not expect her that day. And she spoke from the heart. She was very emotional that day, and it switched for me that day, really. It was very clear how affecting this is and can be, what an impact we can have. Speak to us a little bit more about the impact that it's had on you and what we have to look forward to as we move forward and create more expansive programs within CCME.
Yeah, well, I think first, I would talk a little bit about just my history and background.
Sure, please.
Because I care very much about the city of Philadelphia, and my entire professional career has been dedicated to building Philadelphia up into a world-class city, both in terms of economic development and workforce development. And just prior to starting this job, I worked here at the Community College of Philadelphia as the Vice President of Workforce and Economic Innovation. And so understanding kind of the ins and outs of the Community College of Philadelphia, how it would work, it was very beneficial to that aspect of being able to hit the ground running and get things up and running and started so that we were able to meet this ambitious and goal of getting the program started in the fall of 2024.
I don't know if it works absent that relationship.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure something could have been done, but I think that was very instrumental in understanding on both sides of the equation how two major institutions that tend to operate very bureaucratically, et cetera, can come together and be innovative. Yeah. And so, like, you asked specifically about how, like, some of that, launching that, seeing the classes react to the mayor's, deep passion about this. I think that I still, to this day, when we went to the graduation and I was introducing myself to students, and some of the students who were there on the very first day when the mayor came in, they said, "Oh, I recognize you, I know you." And I think it's all, they remember that from literally 8 months prior because of the impact that the mayor brought to that first class, and it was very impactful for them. And I think just more generally around the agenda for economic opportunity that the mayor has put at the forefront of which this is one. It's not the only one, but this is one. That it really is something that is about creating these open doors of access to quality jobs, using the city of Philadelphia as a vehicle to bring those jobs to Philadelphia residents, and we match that with the training that CCP is able to provide. It's all free. It provides.
Say that again.
It's all free. It's all free. And it provides stipends, so you earn while you learn, which is a very important part of the vision that the mayor had as part of this, because she did not want any barriers to prevent people from getting into the appropriate level training to get to that job. And so the education is free. There's a stipend that you can earn if you're successful in the program, and then there are supportive services that wrap around the students, and that is very important because having worked at CCP and seen how a lot of workforce programs are run, the supportive services are so essential, but most workforce, like federal and state dollars, won't cover that.
Right.
So the city is really stepping into a space that is a big gap in other kinds of workforce programs, and we're able to provide those levels of services as part of this program.
Can you speak a little bit about them, about those wraparound services?
Yeah. So as part of the kind of staffing structure at CCP, we built in a navigator and a success coach, largely because, again, some of the programs, one of the unique aspects of the model is that we have non-credit programs and short-term credit programs. So there are different systems that the individual has to go through depending on which pathway they select. And so the navigator is really there to assist that person in figuring out the systems within the college and what they need to do to be successful to get in. We have the success coach, so once you're enrolled, that person stays on top of you and tries to figure out if there's anything going on that might be like attendance is low, or you have a childcare issue that has emerged. So like, how can they bring some supportive services depending on what the unique situation is with the student, and then also just more like tutoring and things of that nature. If a student is struggling with the content knowledge, they can bring that to the table. And then, so those are very specific supports that the college built into the staffing structure, in addition to supports around work-based learning. So we've begun to implement work-based learning aspects on the city side, but also the structure within CCP will also support the work-based learning activities that get embedded into the programs, and then we can work together across the city and community college to create like real life examples, on the job type of examples. And so like, for example, we have an internship as part of the community, the computer support specialist program, and we've had students distributed through 16 different departments, serving in IT kind of internship roles for 60 hours. So that's just an example of some of the things that we're building into the programs as well.
And I would say we've been pretty successful, because my observations, whether it was in the classroom that first day or during graduation, or even in contact that we've had sporadically with some of the students, it's very clear that there's a sense of community that they've built with the team here at CCP, with you and with our team. I think that's an essential wraparound service, like feeling supported, feeling like there's a community that's rooting for you.
Yes.
And that really came to fruition during graduation.
Yeah. The thing that I thought was very impactful to the students was not only seeing the entire CCP team there and the CCME city staff people, but also the representation from all of the different departments at the senior level. All the deputy mayors were there.
Yes.
And the mayor, was like, I want you to understand that this isn't just a me thing or like a Carol and Camille thing.
Right.
This is the entire city enterprise standing behind this program, and then really in order to bring the success and to bring those programs to life, we need grassroots efforts within each department that are really coming together to make the sausage, as we say, with regards to what the actual programs are.
Okay. So getting back to one of the original questions, where do we see this going?
Yeah.
What is your vision for how CCME, in partnership with CCP, is going to expand, the time frame, and then maybe some of the more kind of grassroots stuff, like how does someone apply, where do they get information? Give us that stuff.
Yeah. So there's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on. I can attest to that.
Under the umbrella of CCME, and so even with the initial charge of these access to these quality public service jobs, largely at the entry level, and that's what we stood up in the fall.
Yeah.
Very immediately, we took on the charge of expanding into kind of how can we create more interest in public service jobs and direct employment from high school into public service jobs with the City of Philadelphia. And so we worked very closely with our Mayor's Office of Education on creating a pilot program to raise awareness more generally around public service jobs across the entire city. And so that was launched in the spring with 5 community schools. And then in addition to that, we worked with existing departments that have very distinct programs with high schools, a number of high schools in our fleet services and our Department of Public Property, to deliver CCME programming to the students in the spring semester, all with the intention of them getting offered jobs with the City of Philadelphia upon graduation. And so we're waiting for Fleet and DPP to let us know. We'll know in July how many of the students have accepted those jobs. And then we've also been working with Streets and Water Department on a cohort of students that received CCME power skills training in the spring as well, to go into programs, workforce programs that they offer for individuals who only have a high school degree, and the programs themselves provide the skills on the job as part of that. So that's a new part of that. And then in addition to that, we've been doing upskilling of existing city employees to move them along in their career progression. And that's important on 2 fronts, not only as a city being an employer of choice and really investing in our workforce and supporting those who kind of come in at the lower skill end of the positions that are available, and moving them up into that 2nd and 3rd tier position in a career pathway within their department.
So that's self-sustaining, right? That's just investing in our workforce assures our future workforce.
Exactly. And that's also been extremely rewarding. They participated in the graduation. We had a cohort of streets department employees who are on a path to get into a Surveyor 1 program. And so they're all on different levels, moving up in that career progression there. And the streets department has been wonderful to work with. The water department and the airport have all been partners around all of those programs. And then like the third part, which is what and all of that will grow.
And wait, there's more, right?
All of that's going to grow and scale, because like what we started with was like smaller number of programs. We plan on adding new programs in both areas, but then also we will be, the city is making a major investment in external workforce development, because as a city of Philadelphia, not only as an employer, but we have many wonderful employers that have important workforce needs. And so we'll be making some investments, utilizing funding that's been made available for workforce development into programs that support important areas of need with respect to our teacher pipeline, with respect to our behavioral health and wellness pipeline, and also around quality union jobs. Yeah. And so there's more to come in that area. I'm not going to get out in front of the announcements that we plan to make in the very near future, but that's exciting.
Yeah.
And also
similarly, if we invest in our communities and the job opportunities that are available to them, we are investing in our city and our city's success.
Yes. Yeah. And having had a background in economic development and workforce development, there's always a little bit of the chicken and the egg.
Yeah,
and
right.
And I'm a strong proponent, because I also have a strong higher education background, which is that your workforce, and especially in an environment where businesses can go anywhere, the more trained workforce, the more educated workforce we have, more employers will come. And so I'm a strong proponent of workforce in this environment at this point, being at the forefront of driving an economic development strategy for the city of Philadelphia.
Very good, very nice. If there is a message that you wanted to impart to anyone who's considering CCME, or considering how do they bridge the gap from where they are to where they want to be, and can they leverage CCME or CCME programming for that purpose, what would that message be?
Yeah, so we definitely want community members and residents across the city of Philadelphia to be interested in the program. We are hopeful that we're able to grow the programs that we have in there, but as the third largest employer in the city of Philadelphia, we literally have every imaginable type of job for a resident that's looking. So if, depending on the career pathway, we're going to have programs in all of those areas. So we cover healthcare, skilled trades, public safety, business and administration, and STEM. Programs in all of those areas. CCP is where you would register your interest, and from there they take the ball and work with you to figure out what your pathway would be and how you would enroll in the college. And so, yeah, I would just recommend that you go to CCP's website and go to /CCME interest, and that way you can fill out the interest forms. Or, yes, I'm sorry, and yes, you can go to our, also our webpage, which is phila.gov/CCME.
We're getting a little support from our
yes, and that will take
partners.
you to the CCP website as well.
Okay.
And there's more information, if you want to kind of understand a little bit more about what is available to you.
Okay, very good. So before we wrap up, I always like to end with maybe some lighter fare, right? Some fun conversation. So I'll start with a little story.
Okay.
Very short story. Most people know that I am a Mets fan. Now everyone knows that I'm a Mets fan. So I happened to go to a Phillies-Mets game, and we were with, I believe, the mayor's internship program on that day. Mm-hmm. And surprisingly, you showed up that day, right? I think there was an all call. We wanted the interns to be able to network with different members of the workforce, and you came. And the Mets were, I think they were pretty much giving you guys a hard time, the Phillies a hard time that day. The way I remember, they were giving you all a really hard time. And, you know, even myself, from time to time, I've gone to Mets games and it's not going our way. I tend to head out when I think I can beat traffic. Oh no, Carol stayed until the very end. I left. I think I left maybe around the 8th inning, something like that. You are a diehard.
Yeah.
Tell me about where's this love for Philadelphia come from?
Honestly,
and all things Philadelphia.
Yeah. So it's kind of maybe a more complicated story than you were expecting, but I have this very distinct memory of coming to Philadelphia in the 80s. My sister was, two of my sisters were competing at the Penn Relays.
Okay, yeah.
At the University of Pennsylvania, and I remember coming and just being a very young person at the time, and just being like, oh, wow, Philadelphia. And then we also used to go to Army-Navy games that were always held in Philadelphia, because my father's in the Navy.
It's kind of a shame that they're not.
I know. And so there were always these things in my background, and then when I was applying for graduate school, I ended up going to the University of Pennsylvania for my master's in government administration. And while I was there, I ended up interning at the Commerce Department. And it afforded me the exposure to almost every aspect of all the great things that Philadelphia has to offer. And I fell in love with the city, and I never left. And I really said that I had to devote myself to everyone else feeling the same about Philadelphia that I did, because I didn't grow up here. And I adopted the sports teams as part of that.
You sure did.
And I get a lot of grief when I go home from my Maryland relatives about that. But the fortunate thing there is that the Baltimore Orioles do not play the Philadelphia Phillies in regular season, and so far have not had to compete in Red October against one another. So while I've been here, and so it's worked out that way. But yeah, no, I'm definitely a Phillies fan, and I love baseball. I love, and I'm someone that is just not only a diehard fan, but I understand, I want to understand the game, and that's why I think I stay to the very end.
Okay, well. Good for you. It was a good game, in my opinion, that day. So with that, thank you so much for joining me for my second episode. I think the information and the work that you're doing is very important, and we're going to reap benefits from it for many, 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 many years. And so, again, thanks for coming on, and we can't wait to see what CCME becomes as it continues to evolve.
Great, thank you.
All right. So with that, I want to say thank you, everyone. Please tune in for our next episode. We'll have another guest who will be able to tell us some more of the great things and work that's going on in the city of Philadelphia. Take care.